Hello everyone, today we're going to be having a look at the Dark Magician. So this is one of the most famous Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters in history, definitely one of my favorites and a favorite of many people out there. I feel like, you know, given the fact that Buster Blader and things like that have been so popular on the channel, I figure why not get a bit of Dark Magician in here as well. Now, Dark Magician isn't quite as strong right now, but the reason we're making a video on it here in Diamond is because there is support coming out for it in the future. In the near future, that's going to make this a lot stronger. We're going to cover off the support in good detail at the end, as well as the deck profile. But yeah, we're going to be getting in here to a few games. What is the game plan here? The game plan is you set up your Dark Magical Circle and your Eternal Soul. That basically means you summon a Dark Magician every turn. Every time you summon a Dark Magician, you get banishing. You have lots of drawing, you have lots of searching, you have the DPE engine in here whenever you can put 2 effect monsters on board. Very straightforward deck, and then we're playing just a bunch of trap cards to help bolster that work alongside your Dark Magicians. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see anything more like this, or if you have any other deck suggestions you would like me to cover, leave a comment down below. I get to everyone who leaves a comment, so feel free to leave your suggestions down there, and if you do enjoy it, like and subscribe, you'd be doing me a massive favour. But yeah, let's get on the end of the gameplay. Okay, game 1, and we're going second, which anyone who has played this deck before knows that's an automatic red flag. This deck really doesn't, it's really not that strong going second. Our opponent's going to go for Sky Striker, that's summon a token out. We're going to try to max C to hopefully get some advantage, but we get hit by Coveted Grave, so that basically brings an end to our interruptions here. We do have Nibiru, so if he does summon 5 times, we can sort of shut him down. So he summons his token, he summons out Sky Striker, Ace Rose, then he goes in the Ray, and he just summons Shizuku in end, so he only summons 4 times, so our Nibiru is effectively useless. So great, we're going to have to just get through this. Again, not too big of not too great opposition here. Doesn't have any set cards or anything like that. So we're going to send the Dark Magician to special summon souls. We'll use its effect to discard Servant to draw. We draw on the Rod. Rod, when summoned, will search for our Circle. Circle, when activated, will grab another Servant for us, which is good. We're going to banish the Servant from the graveyard to draw 1, and we get Salvation. Salvation then will grab Eternal Soul from the graveyard. So this is our play fully set up. We have the Eternal Soul from the Salvation. We have the Dark Magical Circle set up, and we have the Dark Magician in the graveyard. So we are fully established. We even have some protection with Solemn Judgment and an additional Soul Servant just for some card advantage next turn. We get rid of the token, and then we go into IP Masquerena. I believe in this particular version, I was not playing the Predaplant Verte Anaconda engine. I was mixing and matching, playing it and not playing it. He summons out Zeke here, so we decide to pop our Solemn Judgment early, so because we're negating his summon, it doesn't technically count as destroyed, so he doesn't get to resummon his Ray. That's why we did that. He's going to use Mobilize to grab a card and draw. He's going to use the Sky Striker maneuver to pop the Eternal Soul and our IP Masquerena. Little does he know, we have a second Eternal Soul, so we're going to flip that up, and we're going to summon the Dark Magician to banish the Rose before he can get Link Summoning, because we don't want him to resummon the Ray on his turn. Sorry, we resummon the Ray after he Link summons, and then we banish the Link monster. That it doesn't get us very far. So we're going to summon Dark Magician. We'll tribute it to grab Magician's Rod from the graveyard. We use Soul Servant to stack Magician Souls on top of the deck, so we know we're going to draw into it. Then using Souls, we're going to send the Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard to special summon itself. Eternal Soul is going to activate here. Now, the reason we would send Dark Magician Girl is because Soul Servant lets you draw 1 card per card of a different name in graveyard, including Dark Magician Girl, and Palladium monsters. So because we have 2 different Dark Magician monsters in the graveyard, we would get to draw 2 instead of 1 off of Soul Servant. He's going to take our Magician Souls here with the Widow Anchor, and I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, he can't target the Dark Magician with the Widow Anchor because it's not an effect monster. We're going to use Circle to banish the card to the far right here, and Magician Salvation as well. Because we summoned the Dark Magician, we can summon a Dark Magician Girl from the graveyard. So we banish a Raigeki, which is interesting. Not that great against us. Oh yes, we were playing Mirror Force in this version of it. Just testing it out. Don't play Mirror Force. We started playing the Ace Barrier Prison instead. But yeah, we were just testing it out for a bit of fun, a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Style gameplay. We're going to swing in here for a bunch of damage, and then we're going to use our fusion spell, the quick play fusion in the battle phase to fuse into the Dark Magicians and swing again for lethal damage. So yeah, that shows that first turn there where we were comboing off like crazy and we were just searching, drawing, searching. That's what the deck wants to do to set up its combo, because you do need quite a few combo pieces. It's not a simplistic, oh, I normal summon and then play off of that. There are quite a few pieces of the puzzle you need to have, and that's where the additional support we're going to get to later on comes in and makes that significantly more consistent. This was a good showing of it here. Lots of control, lots of gameplay. That Mirror Force would be something like a Solemn Judgment or an Ace Dragon's Prison, something like that instead. We were just using Mirror Force for a bit of a giggle. But yeah, straightforward game, pretty simple. Let's get in the game number 2. Alright, game 2, and this time we're going first. Now, we don't show an awful lot of... So you do lose a good bit with this deck, I'll be honest. Like I said, it's about 50-50. This is another instance where we're going first and we get the perfect setup. We have our Circle, we have our Eternal Soul, we have our Salvation. I was trying to say Navigation, but yes. He negates our search off of Circle, which we don't really care about because we already have all our combo pieces. We will send the Dark Magician to summon souls. We'll send Salvation to the graveyard with souls to draw a card. Then we'll go into the Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer. So this is fine. Now, many of the losses here, I'm not going to show those because usually it's just if you brick. If you're going first and you get your setup, almost always you'll win. Now, in this specific instance, this is a bit of an exception. I do believe we may lose this game, but either way, I'm not going to just show a bunch of bricks because there's no fun in that. Just know that it does happen. So we're going to use DP. We're going to pop that monster there. We just don't want him to go crazy in his link climbs. He has one he can summon for free out of his hand, so it didn't really get us very far. Probably should have saved that for later in the combo, but I'll be honest, I don't know the Lay of Twins probably as well as I should. We're going to negate the Link Disciple, and then we're going to use Eternal Soul to try and summon our Dark Magician out, but unfortunately we get negated. Sorry, we don't get negated, our Dark Magician gets banished, so we have nothing to summon. So we did have the perfect setup, and still we're being dismantled. With our Dark Magician being gone, it means we don't really have an awful lot to do in terms of trying to make this work, so he's going to resummon his monster to go into Splash Mage. We're just drawing cards here as we go along, but unfortunately we don't play a lot of hand traps in this deck. We're just sort of praying we draw into Nibiru. He summons out his Parallel Exceed and then resummons from the graveyard. He's going to use those to go into Update Jammer, and anyone who has played any level of Cyberse deck knows we're going into Access Code Talker, and because Update Jammer was used in its summon, that Access Code Talker can attack twice. So that's a problem. And out of all of these cards, we didn't draw into Nibiru, which isn't great. So he's going to pop our Eternal Soul, that's going to destroy our Anaconda. He's going to pop our Circle for BM, and then he's going to swing directly twice here for 4,300 each. So this is proof, even if you get the perfect setup, it's not a guarantee you're going to win. Sometimes there is counterplay to it. So yeah, like I said, it's not a top tier deck. It's not going to get you the Diamond 1, but it is surprisingly viable. Honestly, you can score a decent number of wins with it. You can definitely, I would say you could probably give very far through Platinum with it. I don't know if you could get into Diamond with it, but I would say you've got at least a very decent chance of doing so. So yeah, again, just displays the weaknesses of it there. It's very, if it doesn't go your way, if your opponent interrupts you too much, like with any deck, it doesn't really pan out. But yeah, again, we'll go into game number 3. We'll not sit and linger on this. Okay, here we are in the game number 3. Now, it would not be a Yu-Gi-Oh video in Diamond without seeing some Sword Soul action, so spoilers. We're going to activate our Circle, then summon our Magician's Rod. Our Rod actually gets scammed, but that's fine. We don't really care about that. We have all the resources we need in hand. So that's gonna get destroyed, but whatever. We're gonna activate our Salvation to grab our Eternal Soul. We were playing multiple Salvation to make this more consistent. And we have the full setup, so we're good to go. We even have the Ace Dragon's Prison. So he's going to special summon out the Tinyi Spirit at Hara to go into Monk of the Tinyi, which is fine. He's going to normal summon Taya. Now, before he can get banishing to summon his token, we're going to summon the Adhara to our side, banish it and the Taya. He's used up his normal summon. He has nothing else he can do there. So he's going to use his emergence to grab the Strategist, summon it out to the field, plus a token, and at this stage we're going to flip up our Eternal Soul, summon out the Dark Magician from our hand, and we're going to banish that Strategist. We're also going to sacrifice the Dark Magician to go into our Rod, to grab Rod back from the graveyard. At this point, we're not concerned about being OTK'd. We've pretty much eliminated his plays. So having the additional search on our turn and the additional banish off of souls is very, very strong. We were playing in this version Lord of the Heavenly Prisons, which is definitely a card you can play. He's got a blackout here to pop our souls and our circles, so we don't actually get to summon our Dark Magician. But we were expecting that to be blackout. That's why we used it in the draw phase and why we used it first instead of going in the additional plays, because we knew he was going to pop it. So now we're going to normal summon the Magician's Rod. It's going to grab Circle again. Circle is, sorry, we're going to use Lord of the Heavenly Prisons first, then we'll activate Circle. It's going to grab Soul Servant. So basically what Circle does is it checks the top 3 cards of the deck, and then if there's a Dark Magician or a spell or trap that lists it, it'll add it to your hand. So we're going to use Soul Servant to place Eternal Souls on top of the deck. Use Soul Servant's second effect to draw the card, so essentially it's just a free search. Set the Eternal Soul, destroy the token, and we're right back where we started, fully set up to take advantage. I don't believe there's a single card he can draw into to help him, except that one, Desires. So he draws 2, but apparently those 2 didn't do anything for him. So we're going to use Eternal Soul here to summon out the Dark Magician. He's going to use Maxi to draw 1, that's fine by me. We don't really care about him drawing a single card. So Dark Magician's out here. We don't really have anything to banish, but because we activated a set card, Lord of Heavenly Prisons kicks in. It's going to set Secrets of Dark Magic to our field. We're aiming to get some real damage across the board here and OTK if possible. So we're going to switch our Lord of Heavenly Prisons to attack mode, swing in for 3k, swing in for 25, get our 16, and then we flip up the Quick Plays Fusion. We're going to fuse our Magician's Rod and Dark Magician into the Dark Magicians and swing for game. Well, we're going to resummon the Dark Magician for a bit of BM, but then we're going to swing for game after that. And we even ripped into the Fusion Destiny, so if against all odds he survived, we had the DP to follow up as well. So yeah, this version of it here, showing off the Lord of the Heavenly Prisons, I feel like that's a very, very powerful card in this deck and is definitely one worth consideration. It's just the room is very tight. Honestly, you can't really sacrifice much of your trap lineup because you need it. It's simply more valuable, and the more traps you sacrifice, the less valuable the Lord of Heavenly Prisons becomes. So it's a bit of a conundrum, and you don't really have an actual engine to really eat into because you need it to be as consistent as possible. So while he's a very, very strong card, I don't know if he has a place in the deck as it stands. Maybe in the future, but right now, because the deck's simply not consistent enough to cover the engine, because the value that he represents would be diminished by his addition, it just doesn't make very much sense to play him. But he is totally a legitimate option if you're interested in it. Super, super strong card, wins a lot of games. But yeah, that's game number 3 against Sword Souls, dismantling them. You have a very good matchup against Sword Souls if you go first. So yeah, we're going to take that and we're going to go into the last game of the video. Alright, game number 4. Now this is against, well, I mean, I'm going to tell you, it's against Eldlich. Now I would consider Eldlich and Dark Magician to be very, very similar in how they operate. So it's going to be a very interesting match. So Eldlich, I would basically say it's the meta version of Dark Magician. So we're going to draw here into the Dark Magician girl, which isn't great. But it's fine, because we have the Illusion Magician, it does present us some opportunities. So we're going to summon a Magician's Souls out by milling the Dark Magician. He's going to grab his Golden Lord, which is a bit of a problem. Magician's Souls will summon itself out to the field. It's going to activate to get rid of Skill Drain to let us draw a card, because Skill Drain is going to be useless in this matchup. He tries to banish us using Dynamiscus, so we're going to chain our Secrets of Dark Magic to fuse the Dark Magician Girl and our Magician's Soul. So it's actually a decent thing that we drew her. So we have our the Dark Magicians on the field now, so if a spell or trap is activated, he will then get to draw a card. Unfortunately, he gets destroyed by a Conquistador, but when that happens, we get to resummon the Dark Magician and the Dark Magician Girl out to the field. We'll special summon out the Apprentice Illusion Magician, but we're going to get stopped here by Solemn Judgment. That's fine. We could technically have gone into DPE here. We would link in the Link Spider and then use Link Spider and Dark Magician Girl to summon out, but again, I'm not sure if we were playing it at this stage. Because we was going back and forth on the deck an awful lot, I'll be honest. So he's going to go for his Eldlich here to grab Conquistador. Conquistador is a real threat against us because we can't afford our Dark Magicians to be banished. He's going to add back his Golden Lord. Golden Lord will summon itself out of the field as a 3500 beat stick. He's going to take out the Dark Magician Girl. He's going to take out the Dark Magician and pass to us. So we're left with one card, one Solemn Judgment, so that's not looking good for us so far. He's got 4 back row and 2 big monsters. Luckily, the card we draw was Soul Servant, so we get to stack the top card of our deck, and then we get to draw 2. He's going to use Skill Drain here, which was interesting. I suppose it's at the very least going to stop us from doing like an Anaconda play in his mind, maybe. We're going to stack Circle on top of the deck to draw into it, because again, we're just playing off the heart of the cards here. We just need to get lucky. He's going to Haquero to try and banish Dark Magician from the graveyard. We cannot allow that. We need our Dark Magician, so we're going to Solemn Judgment the Haquero. It's not going to resolve. Then Soul Servant will draw 2. We drew Magician's Souls as the follow-up card, so we're going to special summon. We're going to send it to the graveyard to summon the Dark Magician Girl. We'll activate Circle to grab our Salvation. Salvation will activate. Again, we probably should have done this in the other order, but live and learn. It's going to set Eternal Soul to our field. Conquistador is going to banish itself to set an Eldlich trap card, which, again, the consistency of Eldlich, you can see the difference in power here, but we're not going to let it go that easily. He's going to activate his Eldlich here to summon his final Golden Lord. He's going to summon out the Guardian of the Golden Land to reduce our Dark Magician Girl to 0, so it's easier lethal for him. He's going to swing in here. This is when we're going to use our Eternal Soul to special summon a Dark Magician from the graveyard. Luckily at this stage we have 2 in the grave, because earlier in the game, whenever our Dark Magicians were destroyed, we summoned the Dark Magician from the deck, not from the graveyard. So we summon the Dark Magician, it'll banish the one that's attacking. Our Salvation is also going to summon the Dark Magician Girl from the graveyard. So that, again, very, very strong. Banish one of the Golden Lords, and this is where the matchup turns around. The Eldlich cannot handle their Golden Lords being banished, and the one thing this deck does above everything else is banish. So we're going to link into our Link Spider here, which is a very risky play. We only have 900 life points. He swings into this and we lose. He's going to set the Golden Lamb Forever. Now, the Golden Lamb Forever can only negate the activation of a spell or a trap. Because our Soul and our Circle are already activated and just face up, it can't negate them, so we don't even care about that card. We're going to resummon the Dark Magician. Circle's going to banish a second Golden Lord, and we're going to summon our Dark Magician Girl to the field once again. So we don't get any bonus attack points here, unfortunately, so we're going to swing into his Eldlich, the Golden Lord, just to take it off the field so he can't negate anything else. We do have a second Eternal Soul here just in case. He's going to set another Eldlich card, but that's ultimately useless at this stage because 2 of his Golden Lords are banished. He only has 1 left. He needs to play this very carefully. He sets a card. They grab the Eldlich back to hand, and he just summons it. He just raw summons it. I don't know what he was thinking. So at this stage, we chain our Eternal Soul, summon out the Dark Magician. I don't know if he thought he was going to be able to negate that, but he can't. We're going to banish his final Golden Lord. His Haquero is going to banish another it's going to grab another Eldlich card, but he has no Golden Lords left. He can't do anything. Now that a lion there unfortunately would have been a little bit challenging to get over, but our opponent doesn't see the logic in continuing. We had completely shut him down. So yeah, in a direct head-to-head clash, as much as I like to compare these 2 decks because they're very similar in their construction and their execution, I do believe in a head-to-head contest, assuming you can get somewhat lucky with your opening hand, the Dark Magician does have the edge in the overall match then. But yeah, that's a very, very good final match then to end it on. We're going to get into the deck profile here to cover off why we're playing certain cards over certain other ones, and we're going to talk about the future of the Dark Magician deck and see where exactly it may end up when the new support lands. So on to the deck profile. Okay, getting into the deck profile now. First of all, what we're going to do is have a quick chat about the supposed support that I keep on referencing that's going to help this deck flourish. So, number 1, Dragoon needs to be unbanned. Dragoon, there's nothing more broken about this card compared to DPE. They're 2 different styles of cards, but the DPE engine, even in the TCG, while this was still legal, was being played over Dragoon anyways. So I do believe Dragoon needs to be unbanned, or they need to take a similar stance on DPE. I don't think it's fair that it's one and not the other, if that makes sense. It will make this deck so much more consistent and so much more powerful, because instead of playing these 4 cards, all you'll need to do is you'll need to play one copy of the Red Eyes Black Dragon, and then 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion. So you'll do 1, 2. So you're having the amount of bricks basically in the deck, so you're cutting down from 2 to 1, and then from 2 to 1 on the fusion cards. It also gives you 2 more slots to play around with. As well as that, whenever you're considering the new support that's coming, you don't even need to play these guys to use the Dragoon. You can take those out. If Predaplank gets banned, you don't even need to play those. What you will play instead is Timaeus the United Dragon. So again, I'll have it on screen here. So what this lets you do basically is you can send a spellcaster monster or a spell or trap that lists the Dark Magician in its text from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon it, and while it's face up, you can use its effect to fusion summon. So you would just use its effect to summon itself, then combine it with your Dark Magician, and there's your Dragoon. It doesn't even rely on the Predaplant engine. So this card definitely needs to be unbanned when Timaeus the United Dragon comes out, or the Dragon of Destiny, depending on which translation you're going with. Very strong card. Again, whenever I'm playing in the simulators or in the TCG, I would always play Timaeus at least at 2. I think it's a phenomenal card. It's going to bring a lot to this deck as soon as Dragoon is unbanned, and even if Dragoon isn't unbanned, you can summon out Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, which is going to help protect your back row at the very least. So regardless of anything else, it's still going to be a powerhouse. It's still going to bring a lot of power to the deck, regardless of whether or not Dragoon is banned or not. But again, Dragoon brings a lot to the table. So what's the other big piece of support? There is a couple of cards here, but the big 2 are Timaeus, and then another card called the Illusion of Chaos. It's a ritual monster, but you'll not really be ritual summoning it. You can using secrets, but we'll not get into that. Now, the Illusion of Chaos, its main thing is you can reveal it from your hand. You can add any Dark Magician related monster from your deck to your hand, and then return a card from your hand back to the deck. So what you would do is you would reveal Illusion of Chaos, add Magician's Souls, Magician's Rod, something like that to your hand, and then you could shuffle either the Illusion of Chaos itself back into the deck, or if you had another deck card, you can shuffle that back in. So it's phenomenal. It makes Rod and Souls searchable, so you're effectively now playing, instead of 3 of each, you're playing 6 of each, which is amazing. It adds so much consistency to the deck. It means you can cut down to 1 Eternal Souls as well. You don't need to play the Apprentice Illusion Magician anymore, because you don't need as many cards to search for the Dark Magician, because you have the Illusion of Chaos doing that same job. It frees up so much room in the deck, adds so much power and consistency to it, that it's honestly unreal. It's gonna really make Dark Magicians very strong. And then the final card, while not as prominent as the other 2, is a fusion monster, the Master of Chaos. When it's fusion summoned, you can target a light or dark monster in your graveyard and summon it, so you can resurrect Timaeus or the Dark Magician, something like that. And then you contribute a light and a dark to banish all monsters your opponent controls, non-targeting. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a spell in your graveyard to add it back to your hand. So it's easy to summon because it just takes Dark Magician and a Chaos monster, which will be your Illusion of Chaos. So easy to summon. If it's summoned, you resurrect the monster, so you're not really going negative in card advantage. And you contribute it and a light monster, which could be a linked monster, it could be Timaeus, it could be anything like that. Completely wipe your opponent's board, and if he does get destroyed, you get to recycle back a spell card, so he's amazing. So all of those cards I do think are going to add a lot of power and consistency to Dark Magicians when they come out. So again, keep your eyes out for that. So how are we playing it at the minute? We're playing 2 Dark Magician. You can play 3. Sometimes I wish I had a 3rd, but I think 2 is fine. Yeah, it is a bit bricky when you don't have the rest of the combo, so I think 2 is okay. Magician Souls 3 of, amazing card. Mills a Dark Magician, lets you draw cards, it's amazing. Max C, because you need to scare people out of not comboing off like crazy, and if they do combo off like crazy, you want to have as many trap cards and consistency cards as you possibly can to stop them, or to break that board. Magician's Rod, the only and best normal summon in the deck. You normal summon it, search your deck for a spell or trap that lists the Dark Magician, so it searches Circle, Salvation, Soul, Soul Servant, anything like that, it searches. The Dark Magician girl is here purely so that instead of drawing 1 card off Soul Servant, you draw 2. She's not mandatory, you can totally cut her from the deck, but it's an easy target to send off souls, and you know, drawing 2 cards is nice. Apprentice Illusion Magician, 3 body on board for your Pediplant Vertiana Conda, and she searches the Dark Magician when summoned, so all in all a very, very strong card. Salvation, searches Eternal Soul and lets you resummon, so if you summon either a Dark Magician girl or a Dark Magician and you have the other one in graveyard, you get to summon the other one, so more card advantage basically, but its main effect is it searches for Eternal Soul. Dark Magical Circle, broken card, check the top 3 cards to your deck, add 1 Dark Magician card to hand, and then banish monsters every time you summon Dark Magician. Straightforward and very powerful. Illusion Magic can be searched off of Rod, and you tribute a spellcaster to search for your Dark Magician. It just means that now Rod, with the inclusion of this card, can search for Dark Magician itself, which is important. Illusion Magic can be a bit of a brick, but it is important to have because you need your Dark Magicians to be searchable as often as possible. Call by the Grave because it's broken. Soul Servant, place any Dark Magician card on top of your deck and then draw 1 or 2 cards depending on how many of these guys you have in the grave. Secrets of Dark Magic, Fusion Summon or Ritual Summon quick play. Ace Dragon's Prison, so this is a staple card, so these ones here we're going to talk about. The last actual main card we need is Eternal Soul, resummons a Dark Magician every turn, and it means your Dark Magicians are unaffected by opponent's card effects, so very, very, very powerful. In terms of the other cards you can include, the DPE engine, we were playing it, but it's not compulsory. You see there was a few games in there that we weren't playing it. It does add a lot of breaking power to the deck. It's not mandatory though. You could just play trap cards in place of these guys. Ace Dragon's Prison is a phenomenal card in the current metagame. Completely shuts down Sword Souls, it shuts down Sky Strikers, it shuts down lots of things. Eldlich, oh, it's brutal against Eldlich. So it's a very, very strong card. Solemn Judgment to protect your back row from the likes of Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster. You can play this for 3 if you want. I only have the 2. Skill Drain, because you don't really need monster effects. Your main combo is resummoning off of Eternal Soul with your circle to get banishing your Dark Magician, and it's a normal monster. It doesn't care about Skill Drain. So Skill Drain, while yes, it does stop your Souls plays, it does stop your Rod, it's more detrimental to your opponent than it is to you. So it is a very good addition. But yeah, the extra deck as well. The extra deck's fairly straightforward. We weren't playing the Illusion Exceeds card, but you totally can. I just don't think in a version with 2 Dark Magicians it's worth it. But this is a card that for some reason I haven't seen people playing in the Dark Magicians deck. Number 42, you'll remember this from my Armed Dragon video. If you summon this card, 2 level 7s, so like 2 Dark Magicians on the field, he completely breaks your board. He will summon out Avramax, he will get all sorts of stuff on the go. So number 42 is amazing if you do manage to get it out. Dark Magician and Dragon Knight can be summoned by linking into Imduke and then fusing it. Just protect your back row. Dark Magicians, draw a bunch of cards and resummon your Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl when destroyed. And then the rest of it is just generic link monsters. You can play whatever you want. Celine's pretty good because you can resummon the Dark Magician and stuff from grave. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Now it is very, very customizable in terms of what you actually need to play. You can cut all of this nonsense. So this is what I would say you need to, you can even cut that to be honest, yeah. So this is what you need to play to make the deck actually function. You might even cut her. Yeah, this is the bare minimum and the barest of minimum. From there you can flesh it out using, you know, hand traps. If instead of using trap cards, if you're a fan of hand traps, you'd rather run a bunch of these guys, by all means. If you would rather run even more trap cards, by all means, you know, there's very, very strong ones. You want to run Goes In Match. Goes In Match is amazing. Shuts down Sky Strikers, shuts down Sword Souls. You want to run some Impermanence. You want to run these guys. By all means, you put in whatever you want to, so long as you've got the core of the deck in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have very much else to say on it. Keep an eye out for that future support. This is more of like a PSA of like Dark Magician is going to be good. If you want to see more Dark Magician type content or anything like that, or any other deck on the channel at all, please let me know down below and I will get to it basically as soon as I possibly can. I don't really know what I'm going to be building next, so suggestions will be much appreciated. But yeah, if you like the video, like and subscribe. You'll see anything more like this. We do have lots of videos like this on the channel. But yeah, I'm going to leave you with that then. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.